Hi, I'm Bonnie Lynn, and welcome to my studio, Stamping with Bonnie Lynn. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and thank you for joining me today. I am going to be showing you the Perched in a Tree stamp set, along with, here they are, the Aspen dies. Take them out of their folder, which are these right here. Now, what I liked about these dies was this one right here. It is so pretty the way it cuts out the trees, so I really like that. I like on the leaves that when it cuts out the leaves, it also embosses them with the lines. And this is for a branch, and this is for the bird. And this here I haven't used yet, but it's kind of, I'm not sure what it is, so I apologize. All right, so the card we're going to make is this one right here. And what I did is I colored my bird with Copics, and then I enhanced it with some colored pencils. Gold leaves, it's the Distress Gold specialty paper. I inked up my die cutout to make it look more rustic. And this paper behind it is one that I made using the baby wipe technique, which I am going to show you today. And the greeting is embossed. So there's lots to do. And the only thing I've done to begin with is I did, let me see, what did I do? I cut the paper. But I did color the bird with the Copics. And as you can see, I tried to make some lines with my Copics using different colors. Now I used, I say Copics because I've been coloring with Copics probably for about 6-7 years before the stamping blends came out. So I own just about the complete set of Copics, but I do own some of the stamping blends. And if I have colors that will work, I always use my stamping blends first so that I can show you how that looks. But occasionally I need to bring in some Copic pens, which was the case on this one too. So I colored the bird, and I'm going to show you what I used. I used the Balmy Blues, the light and the dark. But I also used a Copic B45. And then this morning, after I had done this, I was thinking, you know, I have the Misty Blue Copics, even though they're retired. And that would have worked. And the way that I figure out which Copics I'm going to use, as you can see, here's a pad. I took my Balmy Blues and I made a line with the dark and I made a line with the light. Now these blues have a little bit of a gray tint in them. So Night of Navy would be too dark. Starry Orchard would be starry. I'm sorry, I'm combining Starry Sky with Oasis Orchard in the names. But the Starry Sky was too dark and the Oasis Orchard were too dark. And that's the only blues I have. So that's why I had brought in this Copic. But then I remembered my Misty Moonlight. And I took that up there, and that gives me the dark. So I could have used that instead of this one. You can see there is a little bit of difference. I like the B45 with my Copics a little bit better, but the Misty Moonlight would have worked too. So as you can tell, that's what his belly is. And then for his wings, I used the light soft suede. The dark one was just too dark for me, and I added to that because I don't have any other of the skin colors, and I don't have any of the other browns, such as crumb cake. That might have worked, or some of the skin color tones would have worked too. So I added E42 and E41, and again, I'll show you how that looked. There's my light soft suede. There's my E42, which is my medium shade. And then right here, E41, which is lighter. I like using 3 pins of a shade so that I can get more variation. For his beak, I chose to use the dark So Saffron, and you can see that right here. Now for his head, I wanted more of a gray look, and I didn't have anything at all with my stamping blends. I really wish they do Sahara Sand, but if you have some of the skin tones, that may work. But these are three of my favorite Copics, W1, W3, and W5. And then another set that I use a lot is the C1, 3, and 5. They're both considered grays. This is a warm tone of gray. This is a cool tone of gray. If you want to enhance your stamping blends, these are great pens to use to do shading on your coloring, and you'll find if you need grays, these are just good ones to have. And I'll just do this real good and do a flick of each color. That was the W5, W3, and W1. Now, I love the stamping blends. They're simple to use and everything, but I love my Copics too because I can refill them. So the choice, it's a hard choice, but as you see what I'm doing, I'm combining the two. And then right here, I have some Prismacolor colored pencils because sometimes I just want to add a little bit more texture. So if I look at my bird, I want some more feathers, and this is for Prismacolor. This is PC1103. I think this is the one I used. You want a sharp tip and just do a few little short strokes. And what that does, it just gives you some more feathers. And you don't have to do it all the way through if you don't want to. And you just make short little strokes. Just like so. And you want to do it in the way the feathers go. This is also a good thing to do, like if you're doing dogs. Normally, my paper here for testing colors, I usually do it next to what I'm coloring. And this one is Prismacolor PC1072. It's, let's see, do we want to kind of do this down in his beard and a little bit of longer strokes, the front feathers. I'm doing it real lightly. And make the eye more prominent there. A few right here. Maybe a little bit right up here too. And when I'm coloring with my stamping blends, these black lines, that usually means you want to go a little bit darker there. So that's where I would start with my dark colors. And I'll just take this brown and do a few little strokes here, maybe kind of highlight the wings, go around it a little bit. These dark lines here, maybe give it a few strokes there, under here. Now with Christmas coming up, this guy would look really cute being red also. If you have a lot of cards you're making, sometimes I'll cheat if it's one that needs coloring. And if you have a decent scanner and printer, scan your picture in and then put, as many as you can on a page and print it out. Try it first one time and see if it gives you a good quality, because a lot of times it does, and you can't really tell that it's a copied picture and you can put it on your card. See what that did? It just enhanced the feathers, made them more spreadable, look more like feathers in my opinion. So that's what I do when I color. Okay, and now we need to cut this out. So I'll get my machine here, my cut and emboss. Put this down right here. My dies are a little bit warped. I need to put them in the oven and a heavy pan of water on it. Do the oven at about 200 degrees. Wrap your plates in foil first. Just do one. Put your cookie sheet, your plate wrapped in foil, and then I have, from Pamper Chef, I have a 9x13 pan that I fill with water and I put on there because you want a heavy weight on there. I leave it in for about a half an hour before I check and then check on it. Sometimes I got to leave it in longer. Usually most of the time I do. But I don't want to go more than a half an hour without checking on it. And as you saw there, I taped my die in place so that it would not move out of place. There we go. And why I have the cut and emboss machine here, I've already heat embossed my saying. So let's go on and finish what we're doing here. I heat embossed it out of copper embossing powder, and then I cut it out with the decal die. And when I cut it out, you'll see that I made it so that this was all the way over, because I don't want it this big on my card. It takes up too much space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place, put this down right here. And remember, we don't want a straight edge going straight into our machine. So turn it a little bit on an angle. You'll get a better cut and it's not as hard on the machine or your plates. So I'm just going to situate that to where I get, I'll still have the decal look, but I'm going to have a much smaller piece. Tape it in place. So even though the dies don't come in the size we want them to, we can make it work. Hopefully that didn't move on me. And I use purple tape to hold them in place. It comes right off. And I keep them on the side of my machine. And see that? That's much more the size I wanted. And it's perfect. So I'll set that aside, put my die on a magnetic board so I don't lose it. Not that ever happens to any of us. But you can see how warped they are. I need to fix that. And I'm really surprised that happened this time, because I had been rotating the dies the proper way I was supposed to. And if they still bent. Okay. Back to my paper here that I colored my bird on. I use by International Imitations or something like that, the Copic brand. I use the Copic paper for my coloring. If I'm going to be really wanting it to blend. If I'm not doing my blend, I don't mind using the basic white. Another good paper I use is the Hammermill 110 or 120 pounds. They're really good for blending. I just thought I'd pass that on. But if you don't mind, and being I'm working with Very Vanilla on this card, you can always stamp your bird in Memento ink. No other brands but Memento, because that works really good with the alcohol inks. It doesn't smear your ink that you just stamped. You can try stamping it and coloring it on the Very Vanilla. Okay, so now that we got that taken care of, we are going to make our background paper with the baby wipe technique. So here are my baby wipes. And I'm going to take about 4 or 5 of them, and I'm just going to fold them in half here and stack them upon one another. And naturally, I get fragrance-free because fragrances bother me. But, you know, the cheapest, least expensive wipes are good. And I actually find if I'm cleaning my stamps with baby wipes, that the least expensive ones are usually the best. This was Parents' Choice from Walmart. And they actually had 3 packs taped together that you could get, but I just got the 1 pack. Okay. So what? Plastic plate, disposable, can reuse it. Now what I want to do is I want to put 4 to 5 drops of ink on here, and I want to spread it out. I know that's 6. So that was my garden green. And whichever colors you use is up to you. I'm doing a fall look. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was pumpkin pie. Huh, it looks like I did lines. I didn't mean to. This one is cherry cobbler. And then I'm doing some daffodil yellow, and I didn't leave much room over in this area. So luckily I went out. Oh, it feels like I'm gonna need another bottle of this, especially since I'm teaching a class on this at my home in September. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna grab my paper here, and I also have a oh, here it is. I want the Stampin' Pierce mat because the first stamp I'm going to use is the polyphotomer, and they do better if you got some cushion underneath. And I am doing, oh dear, this is embarrassing. There we go. I'm using a stamp that is from a retired set for this. I get 1 fall set each year, and this year I got Hello Harvest. So this one is the Gather Together stamp set, which is this one here. It's a very nice stamp set that's retired. But you can still get retired stamp sets online. You can find them on eBay. On Facebook, there's a couple different sites that sell Stampin' Up! Only products, resale from private individuals. So they're still out there and still available. Okay, so here's my stamp, and I'm just going to take it and squish it down on there. And now you want to hold a photopolymer down for about 5 seconds. Oh, what pretty colors. And then I'm going to ink it up again. I really like this stamp. Put another one right over here. See how easy it is to do? And you could do this for any number of things. All you need, you do need the re-inkers, and these are all Stampin' Up. And then I'm going to take this stamp is from the Hello Harvest set. And as you can see, it's not a real solid looking stamp, and that is on purpose. That's the way they made it. And you just stamp it on your paper. Now, for this, I don't mind going over the other stamp because it actually kind of fills in some solid color, a little bit more solid. And when I said it's not a solid stamp, what I meant to say was that it does not do a smooth stamp set. It is a leaf that we're talking about, and they have texture to them, and that's what they try to show on the stamp set. Let's see, I think I'll do this one, turn it this way. Do this like so. And just fill up your paper because this is the actual size that you're using on your card. So you want it really filled so you can see the ink, the color through the die cut. Isn't this so easy? And you get such gorgeous results. Let's see, and I think I'm gonna just kind of go over this like so. All right. Well, I'm happy with that. I think I may. And if you have a spot like that and you really don't want to go over anything else, stickums. Your sticky notes. Well, all I have are some small ones right here handy. But what I'll do is I'll cover that. And I'll cover that. And made a little bit of a mask so I could put some ink in right there. I'll do the same over here, maybe. Yeah, I like that. All right. Looks good to me. And then I've already cut out. So what you can do to make sure you like it is hold this over it to see if there's any really... Now see, there's a pretty big bare spot right there. So I will take it. Like so. This way I'm stamping over a little bit, but not a lot of it. Try to get some green in there. Yeah. All right. Okay, and the other spots are pretty much going to be covered except for that corner right up there because that's going to stick out. So I'll just, and as you notice, I have the scratch pad paper underneath. All right, isn't that pretty? So we'll just set that aside. We'll move this all out of the way. I'll clean off my stamps real good on my chamois. Well, not real good, but in case I touch them, I don't get it all over my arms. But because I was pressing hard on the baby wipes, I did get it up in there more. So I will take my time and clean them real good once we're done. And I'm done with this, so I will set that aside, throw the baby wipes away. Okay, I do need my paper here though yet. I'm not done with it because as you'll notice on this die cut, I had discolored it. So what I did first is I took my light soft suede and I just made some lines, usually where these holes were. Sometimes I went all the way around it. So that's what I did on this. It will only take a minute. And you don't have to do them all. You can even do them where there isn't any of them, just because trees do have a lot of marks on them, texture. And I'm doing it pretty light. And like when I was coloring and doing my feathers, I did those real light too. I just made a quick flick. And if you want it real skinny, get it right on the top. And don't press down too hard and go, because then you make a dot. You just want to make a line like so. Coloring with alcohol markers just takes practice. And it is only paper, so if you mess up, finish coloring it for the practice if you want to. But, you just restamp it and give it another shot. It's simple to do. Okay, so you can see that. I put where I wanted the lines. And so now I am going to take my smoky slate. Either the gray granite or the smoky slate will work. These are aspen trees, and aspen trees kind of have a little bit of a light gray look to it. I got 2 of them in my backyard, and I really like it. This one is a more brownish gray. This one is a more cool gray. So either way you go will be good. I'm going to use the smoky slate myself. And I have a dauber. This one says basic gray on it, but I couldn't find my smoky slate one. But I usually have 1 dauber for each color. Okay, so I put a little bit on there. I'm going to kind of rub it off so I don't get a bunch of lines. And I'm just going to start off the side of the paper and just add some gray to my trees. As light or as dark as you want. And as much or as little as you want. Now, where I put the alcohol marker, the Stampin' Blend on first, the reason why I do that is because these inks are not good on your alcohol markers, the tips of them. So it's best to use your alcohol marker and then go over it with your inks. And these are water inks. Okay. And now I want my creme cake. And you'll notice my smoky slate and my creme cake, I think, are maybe 2 or 3 of the only ones I haven't replaced yet. I need to do that again. Get some of the rough off. I didn't do a real good job on that. Now I am going to bring my stamping blend over on, my blending brush over. So I don't need to do the whole thing. I just, where I want to have a little bit of a rougher look, not the smoothness that the blending brush gives. And I want a little bit of that over in here too. So I'm going to lightly rub this across. I'm hardly pressing down at all. And if you want to do that with your smoky slate, you can too. Just to add the color in the background. Now, if you don't like this look, there is another option, and I'll show that to you. The Distressed Gold specialty paper would look very pretty on there too. And that's what it looks like there. So either way, find what works for you and what you like, and that's what you want to do. Okay, now I got my blending brush. Whoops. That wasn't smart of me. I didn't look at the tag on the back because I have this mark to use with greens, not browns. My brown one is right here. So, okay. And start there and rub on. These blending brushes are probably the best tool that if you do much blending that you can get. And I have one. I don't have one for each color. What I do is I group them: reds, yellows, oranges, pinks, greens, blues. And you can go, okay, now down here, because that is very skinny, you may want to hold it so your paper isn't moving up. I'll just get a little bit more up here, and we'll be done. Maybe a little bit more in here. There we go. Okay. Oh, I like that. And that's how it's going to look there. Now, the thing that I noticed when I did that is this paper was awful light. So what I did not put any more ink on my brush, but I went over the paper just to give it a little bit of color. And don't forget to do the edges because it does show on the edges too. I started off lightly, but as I get the ink off of it, I am pressing a little bit harder. But I do not want to go back into my pad because I don't want to get it too dark. And don't forget to do your branch when you're doing this. I had already done mine ahead of time, and I actually did it a little bit darker than what I did. But I stamped my branch in soft suede, cut it out, and then I put a little bit of smoky slate and the crumb cake on it. And I want this one here a little bit darker in here, so. Okay. And then hold this up to it. Make sure you like it. Yeah, that just kind of toned it down a whole lot. I do see a couple spots where this sticks out, that it needs some. And right there. So again, this is something that you do to your own personal taste and what you like. And it's just a way to do it, to tone it down. Okay, and why we have the bird, because I used white paper, and that is real white. I'm just taking my crumb cake, and I'm going around the edges there. Okay, and also on our saying, we need to go around the edges of that. I can't remember if I used crumb cake or the soft suede for this. Probably the crumb cake. So we're going to go around the edges. And also, you probably want to take the blending brush over this too. Just so it's not glowing. And even though it looks like there's probably ink on there, there could be down deep, but it's you can really rub a lot of the ink out, and you don't need to wash these brushes if you don't want to. After each use, I wash mine occasionally if I put them in the wrong colors or something. And when I do it, I use Dawn dishwashing soap. Okay, now everything is done and we can put it together. So I'll get my card base, fold it in half on the score line. It's 8.5 inches by 5.5. I scored it at 4 1/4. There's my bone folder to get that pressed. And then we want to get some tape on here. I like the tear-in tape, and I usually do both ends first. As you can see, I got some ink on my fingers. The alcohol inks, the way that comes off is just to use a alcohol wipe, and it will take it off. But if I was working with white paper that wasn't all smeared up, I would wash my hands before I put the card together. But being I'm working with multiple colors and it's not going to matter, I'm not going to worry about it. And I use my take your pick, take off the top first. It's in place, so now I can just take off one side, put it down, and then take off the last two pieces of tape. There we go. And now I want to put this on. Make sure I have it the right way. And I use dimensionals for this, and I use so many dimensionals. I wonder if we can own stock in a dimensional company, as many as we use. While I'm putting these on, I want to tell you about a new program I have. If you shop with me at stampingwithbonnielynn.com and go into my web store there with Stampin' Up, I have a new program that for every $25 you purchase in merchandise using me as your demonstrator and putting in the monthly host code, you get 1 rewards point. After you get 10 points, which means you've spent at least $250, you get a $25 product credit from me on either your next order or an order that you want to do it on. And I do have a form that you can print out to keep track of your order number, how much the merchandise total was, so that you can send me that information and I'll verify it. And I'm also going to track it too, but if there's 2 of us tracking, then we have a good idea of when you've reached it. So if you spend $35 in merchandise on an order, you'll get 1 rewards point. But if you spend $51, you'll get 2 reward points. So that means it works out to be a 10% discount for you on a future order. And I hope you like it, and I hope you take advantage of it. And if you spend over $150 at one time, then you want to not put in a host code, because you will get stamping rewards that you order right at that time with your order. And the way that works, with the $150 order, you get 10% in merchandise that you'll get to pick out of your choice. That's just something that Stampin' Up offers. And then if you get up to like 450, you can buy an item, but it's only one order that it can be on. You can pick out an item at half price. And for those of you who would like to become either a hobbyist demonstrator or a demonstrator to do parties and actively sell, either way, it's works out good, and the discount starts at 20% off that Stampin' Up! Gives. So that would cover your shipping and your tax if you live in a state with a sales tax. There are still a couple states without sales tax. Oregon is one of them. As I said, I put a lot of these on. I had already pre-cut some of these to fit up here. Just want to make sure that it stays up once I mail it. I actually thought about making this one a birthday card, which somebody could. It would make a beautiful fall card. But then I decided, no, I could really use some Thanksgiving cards. And I need one more right there. See, as I told you, I use a lot of these. Okay, so now you got to wait while I pull them all off. And if you have any questions at all about my rewards program, feel free to email me at bonnie@stampingwithbonnielynn.com and I'll answer your questions. And if you want to become a demonstrator, I hope you would consider joining my team. I would love to have you on it. And I would help you as much as possible. And if you live in the Treasure Valley area of Idaho and would like to come to one of my in-person classes, I do hold classes each month, and I would love to have you join me. Just email me and I'll let you know when my classes are. And if you have any questions about any techniques or anything at all, I'm more than happy to answer them for you, whether I'm your demonstrator or not. So, okay, I know, now I should have paid attention how much room I have around the edges when I do this. So I start down at the bottom here. That's pretty straight. All right. And I am going to use a couple dimensionals for my saying. Okay, now I'm going to put one on this side, but on this one right here, let me put it over here. I'm going to lay it right here on the card because I want to make sure it ends up on here and not down here where it will push the paper down. There we go. Just like so. And I need my tree. I'm going to use a couple glue dots for him. Let's see how this lays. And actually what I do is I just lay it right across there like so. And I want one right there. So I'll put that one there. And I'll put one right here. And then for my bird, I want to make sure he's all on the card so he fits in the envelope. So I got my September paper pumpkin kit, the sunflowers, the other day. And for those of you who are still waiting for yours to come, or if you haven't opened it, oh, the kit is gorgeous. I think it's the best one ever. And the card bases that they give you are done on the backs. When you fold it in half, it's both sides of the fold, the score line that is decorated. So I think I'm going to cut mine in half so that I can use them for 2 cards. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you didn't get them, if they have any refill kits later on, I would definitely think about getting a refill kit because they are absolutely gorgeous. It's even without having the sunflower stamp, you could still do some gorgeous things with it. Okay, now I got to make sure that this actually attaches to the branch, that glue dot. And let's see. And I want to put, I think I'll put that one right there. So I'll just put the glue dot right underneath it, right there on the branch. There we go. Now, the one I showed you, I had used a bow. It was the gold satin edge ribbon. But I like the feet showing, so I'm not quite sure. I could use it so it shows under the feet, but I'm not sure I'm going to put it on this one. Okay, isn't that pretty? I like it. So now we need to do the inside real quick. I have my paper here. And I am using a stamp set for this, a stamp for this one for the greeting because it's Happy Thanksgiving card from Pleasant Pheasants. And I think this was about 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm going to stamp it in soft suede ink. And make sure this is here, make sure it's straight there. There we go. Gives you a very good stamp. And then I'm going to take the Misty Moonlight. And I want my bird from Perched in a Tree. Let's take this block right here. I want my scratch paper underneath. So I didn't show you the inside of the card that I did. Okay, this is navy blue. It was soft suede for the greeting. This is navy blue. Oh, shoot. No, this is Misty Moonlight. Being I have Misty Moonlight, I like, it's not quite as dark as the navy blue, and I really like that. So I just put him right there. And then I have my envelope. So I'm going to take my envelope. If you liked the video, I ask that you mark that you like it on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to me, I would love for you to subscribe to me. All the directions, there's a link in the description below the video on YouTube. And if you press on that, it will take you to my website. And there are printable instructions for this card on my website. And also, if you want to sign up for my emails, I usually send out 2 a week. I don't want to overwhelm anybody with too many emails because I don't like getting too many. And so sometimes I do 3 if there's something special to tell you. But on the 2 I send out, usually try to do it on Mondays and Thursdays, but not always those days. It always has a card on it with instructions of how to make it. And if you'll follow me on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest, I'd really like that. And I thank you for joining me today. I really hope you like this card. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love it if you join me. The rewards program I have started is going to be very nice, and it will help you earn free merchandise and show you how much I appreciate you as a customer. So this is my Thanksgiving card made with my own paper. Now, if you don't want to go to the trouble of making your own paper, here is one with the Rings of Love paper, designer series paper behind it. It is a free gift with a $50 order through Celebration through the end of August. Also, the Aspen dies can be your selection of a free gift if you spend $100 in merchandise with Stampin' Up! For Celebration. And remember, that ends August 31st, so don't let it pass you by. And the paper pumpkin in October is going to be Halloween treat bags, so that should be exciting. The paper pumpkin kits have really been fabulous this year. I'm really pleased with them. And if you want to subscribe to them, you can do so through my website. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a good day and happy stamping. Bye.